area coordinator and uh, our Pathfinder Pathfinder Club Director, Director Moses, and of course our youth director, Pastor Tono, and the rest of my colleagues, beloved leaders, master guides who are also here. Good evening, everyone. Okay, so the topic that is assigned to me is club programming and planning. Um, we have discussed already in the past about um, now that we have the working knowledge about the history and the philosophy of pathfinding, okay, as laid down by our pioneers. And then I think it was Sister G, if I'm not mistaken, who led us the discussion about understanding pathfinders, meaning child psychology. So we now have at least the working knowledge also how to deal with our pathfinders belonging to different ages. And then we have studied the very structure in terms of organization. And then, of course, we have leaders, types of leadership or kinds of leadership. And tonight we have another interesting topic entitled Club Programming and Planning. Okay, now, by way of introduction, let me put this one in a very clear perspective. When we speak of programming and planning, it depends with who initiate and the recipients, meaning jurisdiction and administrative authority. You remember that. Depending on the situation, take for example, typically in your home division, okay, in your home division, you have division-wide programs, okay, and of course, planning. Usually, this is planned by the division level. And then these programs will be downloaded to the union level, different unions within the jurisdiction of that division. And then every division has also corresponding union mission conference and different missions. And of course, we have the different clubs, the local church club, and then we have the institution club, and now we have the community club. But on top of that, okay, we also have programs initiated by the district, especially typically. I take, for example, in the Philippines, we have district wide or zone or fellowship, meaning it is composed of many churches. And especially in areas where we have a very active and numerous Pathfinder clubs present or organized. Now, in our case, please take note that we are only limited with of course we don't have division, we have our very own union. But as far as my recollection is concerned, we don't have much program initiated by our union, okay? Except, of course, lectures and training, especially to us leaders, okay? But we have programs initiated by the other divisions, hosted by different divisions, and they are inviting us. So usually in our contexts, we only have at least, I don't know, one, two, or three layers. Okay, so I am presenting to you tonight the basic or the typical, okay, the typical one. Let me share my screen. Let me see if I can share my screen to you. Okay, all right, there you are. Let's go. Uh-huh. So, do you see
Recording
my
in progress.
Director Jeet? You see my screen?
All clear, visible, and you are audible.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Again, here's the title of our. That's the topic of our discussion tonight: club programming and planning, the basic stuff training course. Okay. Let's proceed. What you will learn tonight basically are the following. Let's try to evaluate the club's mission or even the mission of your conference, the union, and goals and relate it to your club planning. And that is why, of course, we have calendar of events, we have a strategic planning, depending on what you are trying to achieve this given year. Okay. What else? Number two, build a yearly club calendar that incorporates your conference and school calendars, of course, to avoid conflicts. And that is why here we have programs led and sponsored and initiated by the Go Field. And usually we are submitting this program. We do submit this program usually like October. And then Pastor Park, the executive secretary, will evaluate and examine everything and asks respective department heads of all the departments of the Go Field. And during the year-end meeting, usually this falls on December, they will they will be asked to present it to the executive committee. And then after approval, okay, and after approval, we downloaded this to respective clubs so that the respective clubs in our area, in our jurisdiction, will also make it as their guide to avoid a conflict with local church Pathfinder clubs program. Okay. Number three, incorporate aspects of investiture achievement into your yearly club calendar. Meaning, okay, well, later on, you will understand the connection between, of course, welcoming formally into the pathfinding world. We call it induction ceremony. But what is induction ceremony if we don't aim to have investiture, especially for, if not with our master guides, because definitely for master guides, it will take like a minimum of 1 year to 3 years, okay? But for our respective pathfinders, their curriculum must be achieved in 1 year from one class to another. Why? Because there's actually a challenge now that the year and the class must be compatible. If, for example, at the age of 10 years old, if a pathfinder is at 10 years old, he must be friends. So there must be a match. And that is the challenge. That is a challenge to respective clubs because there are cases when we have 12 or 13 years old and yet he or she is still friend or companion. So again, as much as possible, there must be a match, okay? Because that is what our administrative manual says. So we always incorporate plan for investiture in a given year, okay? And number four, we plan for weekly club meetings or even quarterly. It's very much the same with planning our local church, okay? Where we have quarterly programs like, of course, communion service, and then we have 13 Sabbath and some other programs attached to the quarterly cycle. The same, very much the same. Okay, club mission goals and planning. You define the club's purpose, and then you provide direction, and then you establish the stability among the members, unify them, and then communicate to all the members of the club, parents, and of course, our local church leadership, and then help with planning. The AY mission, okay, AY mission. This is just a refresher to lead young people into a saving relationship with Jesus Christ and help them embrace his call to leadership. And then what about Pathfinder mission statement? Listen to this. Pathfinder Ministry is an organization of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Remember, because I was the speaker during the first session talking about the history and the philosophy, I already discussed this one. So, Pathfinder Ministry is an organization of our church, okay, established, dedicated to meeting the mental, physical, social, and the spiritual development of our young people ages 10 to 15. See, very specific ages, catering ages from 10 to 15, especially nowadays that the youth ministries department of our church is already established. There are structures to follow. 4 to 9, we create a separate independent ministry for them. We call it the Adventure Club. Okay, so 10 to 15, we have Pathfinding. And then, of course, we have 16 to 21, we have the Ambassador Club. 22 to 30 plus, 30 plus is very subjective, maybe 100 or 99. We have the young adults, okay? And of course, we have Adventist students studying outside of our institution, state universities and colleges. We have the public campus ministry. And that's why, if you look into the Pathfinder mission statement, it is very, very clear. Okay, Pathfindering ministry, we cater the age of our young people belonging to the age brackets from 10 to 15 by challenging the Pathfinder to experience a personal relationship with Christ, have a sense of achievement, responsibility, developed respect for God's creation, care for each member of God's family. What are the goals? Pathfinder Minister seeks to meet the Pathfinder's present and unfolding needs to the end that we bring them self fulfillment and maturity in Christian faith, characterized by their decision to one, Jesus Christ as their personal Savior and Lord. Okay, have you noticed every time we have a special program, if Pathfinders have decided to accept Jesus Christ as their personal Savior and Lord, we are giving them a special recognition. In fact, we have a special pin for that, a pin for baptism. Okay, reflect internalized Christian values through mature decision making and behavior. What else? Exhibit righteousness, true holiness, and fullness of stature of Christ, and then demonstrate leadership skills, enabled and empowered to become full partners in active, selfish service supporting the mission of the church. Okay, let's start. When we speak of cloud planning, according to our manual, okay, actually you can add, but basically, our manual has presented to us at least 7 things to consider in planning our club. Number one in the list is recruitment and induction service. Later on, okay, we will study step by step. If there are points that I could miss, you can consult, okay, our BSTC administrative or Pathfinder a basic staff training course manual, huh? Recruitment and induction ceremony. Number two, sourcing and grooming new officers. Of course, no man is an island. We need the help of our colleagues, fellow beloved master guides, the support of our beloved parents, all the members of the church, the leadership of the church, our very own pastor. We even we even communicate to the leadership of our conferences and mission, like the youth ministries director and the supporting staff. What else? Values to be imparted. That is part of how we plan, okay? And then what honors and classes to be taught in a given year. Because remember, because we have a system, a curriculum, a structure to follow. We teachers, master guides, we must look into this curriculum, and this curriculum will be translated into how we plan our respective club. What honors, who will teach, okay? This identify respective classes, okay? And then community service. Remember, if you evaluate, I think next meeting, the topic is about teaching the Pathfinder curriculum. It is there that you will understand the holistic approach of our curriculum. Okay? We don't just exist as a group, internal in nature, enrich. We're also doing outreach programs. We are establishing our Adventist presence to the community, taking advantage of our programs. Six, outdoor activity and camping. Okay, and then of course the last one, we have conference programs like Pathfinder Day, Pathfinder Fair, Pathfinder Rally, Camporee, even training initiated, sponsored, hosted, led by our top management, our very own conference, GoFit. Let's start. So when we speak of recruitment and induction ceremony, okay, this must be the first thing for us to consider. Recruitment and induction service. There will be no induction in the first place uh, if we don't have the mechanism or strategy or any plan how to recruit. Because after recruitment, it is enrollment. And after enrollment, you have to conduct induction ceremony. This is a very formal program that every enrollees, okay, will be inducted, meaning formally, we welcome them into the world of pathfinding. And I like the question that was asked a while ago. Remember how many candles? We have 22. Why 22? Is when we conduct induction ceremony, we have 22 candles because we have seven for the pledge, eight for the law, six for the classes, and we have one big candle that represents the spirit of pathfinding. So again, recruitment and induction ceremony. This photo was taken when we had our induction ceremony. It was like February of 2020, or first week of February, in eastern province of Saudi Arabia. And then on March of 2020, COVID came. And so the program was aborted. We were incarcerated for 1 year, even extended to 2 or like 3 years, depending on your jurisdiction. And so this induction ceremony was repeated in 2020. Was it 22 or the latter part of 21? Okay, and then we have the induction ceremony in the central region, and also the induction ceremony in the western region of Saudi Arabia. So, who are the ones we are planning to recruit? Of course, if you are an academic or institution based Pathfinder Club, of course, our students, Adventists or non Adventists. Remember, from friend to guide, they are all welcome. The requisites or the requirement as a baptized member only uh, is only required when you take the MIT, the path, okay, MIT, leading towards the Master Guide Club. So, school kids, church, and now community kids, our neighborhood kids, even friends, even relatives, okay, we welcome them. When are we going to do the recruitment? Remember, advertise this early as much as possible. Okay, so what we usually do if you adopt a calendar method, like for example, the fiscal year or the calendar year, just like January to December, because usually our church or the church board is adapting this calendar year. So if the target is first quarter, maybe you can start with the first 1 or 2 weeks, or the first 2 weeks of January or even December. Okay, so that you will not be late with the implementation of your program. Because if you do it like March, okay, March, then the first quarter will soon be over, and then you will be limited with some, because you're already remissed with the 3 months. Make it sure that you can really, you can uh, you can maximize the full length of 1 year. So that, remember, we have programs initiated by the district, we have programs initiated by the conference, we even have programs initiated by other divisions, extending, the invitation is extended to us. So yeah, advertised as early as possible. What methods will be used to recruit new pathfinders? Of course, basically, these are just suggestions, testimonies given by pathfinders or parents after you got the approval of the church board with the support of everybody, including the pastors and church leadership and the endorsement of your conference. Okay, you can ask for a special Sabbath, or anything that you can gather the attendance. So testimonies, what else? Photo, okay, photo or previous years. There's a lot of methodology nowadays, especially with the advancement of technology. What else? Show parents and kids what will be taught in Pathfinder through exhibit. That's actually the reason why we have Pathfinder Rally. Rally explains so much to us. That is why Rally is very important. The name itself speaks of a larger purposes, one of which is to encourage, to entice, to invite, and to explain to the outside people, those people who do not know or don't have any idea what pathfinding is all about. So you can also take advantage of our Pathfinder Rally. Then have a question and an answer. You can even distribute a small pamphlet or tracts with frequently asked questions about pathfinding means. There's a lot of methodology. Sourcing and grooming new officers. Okay, because staff members come and go, we must look new people to serve in the club. Okay, now here's the thing. Uh, if you go into our administrative manual, even MIT's for that matter, okay, during our time we have, I forgot the term. It's like OGT. It's like internship. I forgot the term. Before we will be invested, the requirements was very hard. We must organize at least two local church club. We can conduct a camping, uh, two elementary school, one high school, and one college, something like that. Okay. So during our time, because theology students is really required. So we were forced or challenged to sell, to express, to ask the support of the local churches nearby and try to promote this pathfinding to them, so that the elders of that local church will accept our proposal, and then okay, okay, okay. So because of that, we need also the support, the help of other staff members. So MITs and master guides, whether you like it or not, it's there in the manual. Okay, dormant is not advisable. Being dormant or inactive, you really have to help in your respective capacity. Either you will help the club as a mentor, as one of the teachers of a particular class, or as an officer, or that is why we now have the CMT or the certification, so that all the master guides, okay, will be reawakened again and recommit their their support and their dedication to the ministry. MIT also, according to the master guide curriculum of 2022, you will also render ministry or service. You are asked to choose between pathfinding and adventure. It's there at least one year, and then the club will issue a certification, and then of course the church board will also issue a certification, so that they will know that you are really part of the club. So we need support. Okay, Pathfinder ministry is important. We must plan to have people to replace us when we leave, to ensure the club will continue to survive. So hence we have additional topic, part of the CMT of 2022. We now have mentorship. Mentorship on the part of the master guide, okay, mentoring MITs. We also have mentorship on the part of the MITs, mentoring pathfindering or pathfinders. So if you are an MIT today, make it sure that you're also mentoring pathfinder classes, for example, 2 or 3. What do you mean by mentoring pathfinder classes? You will help them, you will guide them, and accomplish everything in the curriculum. You will teach them, okay, this is how to do it. The same with master guides. Okay, so master guides, if you are listening tonight, it's no longer an excuse for you to be inactive. Remember, the manual is now requiring us to function as mentor. So we will have at least 2 or 3 MITs under our watch, under our care, and see to it that it's like thesis advisor. It's like class advisor. Because MITs, they have questions how to do it during their time. How did you do this and that? So you have part there. Again, grooming new officers. Those potential officers, even if it is in short term, can be recruited from among church members. Now, one of the question asked to me is, can we also include in planning teachers, even those who are not master guide, but they will be teaching a special honors that other master guides cannot teach or don't have the capacity? Yes, that is included. Okay, that is included. Remember, there are honors and skills and skills which are highly technical in nature. And if it so happen that there's no one capacitated to or capable um, to give or to lecture, you can actually ask. In our time, we usually asked, like for example, fire building and fire safety. So we asked the fire officer, okay? We send a letter, and then we conduct a courtesy call to the Bureau of Fire Department of our city, and then the Bureau of Fire director will send his personnel, like four or three of them or six of them, and they will conduct a actual demonstration to all the members of the Pathfinder Club. Okay, so that is part of sourcing and grooming lecturers and experts. What else? Provide training for these new officers as well as upgrading courses for the present set of officers. Now, values to be imparted, we are very keen on this. Sky's the limit, but at least I am presenting you resiliency, activeness, connectivity, awareness, respect, and responsibility to our pathfinders. These are values to perform. Okay. And then, of course, not to forget the strong spiritual emphasis. So, tomorrow, you will learn more about this one when we discussed about the when the speaker will discuss about the curriculum itself. Okay. Okay. What else? Values to be imparted. What values do we want our Pathfinder to learn this year? Sacrifice, courtesy, honesty, responsibility, generosity. What else? Who will impart these values to them? Okay. Through what means we will teach these values to them? Okay, I'll share you one example. This is my personal experience. One time, we had a camping. Okay, we had a camping, and then we we what we did is to wake them up like 4 o'clock in the morning or 4:30 or 3, very early. These are MITs actually, yeah, MITs, college students, and then we brought them to a maybe 1 or 2 kilometers away from our camp. But prior to that, we asked them to bring a very special, sentimental object that they had, that they have, except the Bible and the church hymnal. So, say any sentimental object. Take, for example, watch from their parents or cell phone as a gift from during their graduation or because they got excellence award. Okay. Now, now from the camp, we brought them 1 or 2 kilometers away. And then we had a very nice devotional. And then one of my colleagues, because I was the camp director during the time, one of my colleagues, one of the master guides, dug a hole. And then, the speaker said, if we are really true to our commitment, we have to take away all this selfishness and something like that. Now that you have your valuables and sentimental objects, will you please place or put it inside the the hole? Okay, that was because we dug a hole, and you know what? Out of 100%, out of 100% members of you know only 25 volunteered, but they were actually crying. Okay, they were crying. So cell phone, and then they put uh, very important objects. Some of them were given by their grandpas and grandma, and others complained, and then they started to, say, what kind of leader are you? And but that was only our we are just measuring everything. It's a psychology thing. It's a psychology thing. So the 25% place their very valuable objects inside the hole, and then of course we put that in those objects inside the big plastic, the garbage one, the black one, and then we covered, soil, and then we went home. So you could imagine, the 25%, they were crying because, my cell phone is there, my watch is there, the ball pen, the etc. is there. And then the majority, what kind? We will file a formal complaint to the administrator of the school, and because they did not know that we were just testing them, because two of our colleagues, okay, while when we hiked going back to the camp, two of our colleagues, of course, uh, open it and open the hole, dig it again, and then brought those objects, and we returned those objects during our closing ceremony only. And they were surprised. Well, we are just testing you. Sometimes leaders, we are using we are employing some kind of strategy. Again, my point is, values is there, sacrifice, and exposing behavior and character and reaction, especially in that dire situation. Huh? Honors and classes to be taught. Okay, we have, how many honors do we want to consider this year? Honors that we're going to teach, who will be teaching them? Do we have a complete pool of resource speaker? When they will be taught, of course, the schedule and the completion of everything. Can our club afford to do this, the honor? Okay, and yeah, skills and honors. Okay, and then, of course, let us not forget community service, part of our program, okay, and planning. Here in United Arab Emirates, we have we have a very active community outreach services. Okay, last week we participated the iftar, of course, the iftar distribution with my Dubai Visayan family and the Quickside family. And I think also the other clubs have joined in Abu Dhabi area, in Sharjah and elsewhere. They also participated. Huh? This is very, very nice. Our aim is to establish an Adventist presence. As a matter of fact, I have a good news, because yesterday, no, just this morning, the one particular or two Pathfinder clubs in the eastern province of KSA joined a cleanup drive hosted or initiated by the government. And one man one man connected to the scouting. And so when he saw that pathfinders are wearing, a knickership like that, so, "Oh, what is that? I am also a member of Scout." Oh, so you see, we now have connections with the scouting there, and our, who knows, they can provide us a place so we can also have programs like in Sergeant Mission Scout. So because of these programs, community service and outreach. Adopting a park, raising funds for the needy, visiting homes for the aged, first aid, disaster relief team, medical mission, plant a tree, okay, beach cleaning, and everything, okay, everything. Okay, now what else? Outdoor activity and camping. Okay, don't worry because we're almost done. outdoor activity and camping. So we don't miss this. So we will include this in our planning. This was our time when, of course, we have the skills demonstration, swimming, and some activities, some outdoor activities. What are the outdoor activities that we want our pathfinders to participate, join, and eventually learn and accomplish as part of the requirements? Hiking, swimming, camping, and of course, others. When are we going to these places? What are the costs? Very important. Um, Please do not forget to connect with the community, especially if you are conducting programs outside. If the venue is private, if the venue is public, make it sure that you ask for permission or leave. You ask for leave. Okay, courtesy call. Okay, courtesy call. In the Philippines, because we have a presence of some outsider or for example, okay, rebel groups. So we are conducting courtesy call to the military camp, to police, and then community, barangay, and the village, and also the city or municipality, so that they will be aware of your presence. And in fact, every opening ceremony, we are inviting people, a community from community leaders, or even the mayor, and the mayor will send an official representative, and we recognize them. What will our pathfinders learn from these activities? Who will be involved in the planning and organizing of the activities, and who will be helping out? Remember the 3S when we have the outdoor and activity camping. I will be giving lecture about this, of course, safety, security, and of course, sanitation. We call this the 3S, okay, automatic, very, very basic. Remember to book these places in advance. And again, like I said, ask permission and give courtesy call. What about conference program? Of course, we have typically we have World Pathfinder Day, and then of course now we have Adventure Day, and then we have uh, what else? Campuri. Okay, we have Campuri, and we just concluded our fifth. Okay, the picture attached is the fourth go field, and now we just conducted our fifth Pathfinder Campuri. And of course, we have our Pathfinder Fair, one of the most anticipated activities of our Pathfinder family, the Goldfield Pathfinder family. Okay, this was the picture of the first ever Pathfinder Fair held in Saudi Arabia, and I'm very happy with the support of Director Gurini and Director Lean and the family. Aliana was there, Christine was there, and yeah, we have I think 11 Pathfinder clubs from far places of Saudi Arabia. So we also had our own version of both making, and it's very nice. Huh? So we had, I'm showing you some pictures of conference program. So Pathfinder Day is traditionally held on the third Sabbath. Okay, so we have a regular schedule as posted to us by the GC people, youth department. Advertise the occasion well in advance, plan who you are going to invite as special guests in this event, what kind of theme will you have during the day, what else? Pathfinders to be in full uniform. So I forget to to include this, the Pathfinder Sabbath. And then we have a Pathfinder Sabbath. What again, aside from the Pathfinder Sabbath, where we invite visitors, uh, visitors. Okay, it's a visitors day. Okay, visitors day. Pathfinder Sabbath with visitors day. Okay, and yeah, We have lots of conference programs actually. Huh? So it depends with how you plan and implement your programs. Again, to wrap up, what are the 7 things to consider in planning? Of course, recruitment, induction, and then of course when we have induction, we also have the investiture. Okay, sourcing and grooming and values to be imparted, honors and class to be taught. Now, if you noticed, I did not include the details of the quarterly programs and the meetings and everything because that can be, discussed in areas. If you go to, take for example, we have club organization. After organizing, you, but you can also include that in this particular topic. So again, do not limit, depending on the application of your situation. If you have the presence of division, you consult division leadership if they have programs, and then download it to the union. From the union to conferences and mission, and then we even have the district wide or the zoning or the area wide, and then from area down to the local churches. Okay, so building a club calendar, and then what else? Building a club. We have, it's like, a strategic plan for the club. And then what else? We're almost done in this. This is uh, easy and very basic. Yeah, we have this example from the Eagles Club. Okay, what's the good thing about this? Is actually you can mark. You can highlight and evaluate which areas and programs that you do not accomplish yet. Okay, so monitoring is very important. And then investiture achievement planning. Investiture is one of the anticipated events of a given year, especially to our dear pathfinders. It's like graduation to them. Okay, it's like graduation to them. They look forward to that from friend. Oh, I am now companion, and then so on and so forth. The same with MITs. Oh, I will now be invested as a master guide. Okay, so that's our program for the investiture. We have weekly club meetings. All right. This is just an example of a weekly club meetings. Okay, so that's all for tonight. Unless you have question relative to the presentation tonight. Until then, we'd like to say thank you for your presence and back to Sister Jean.
Thank you so much, Pastor. We appreciate your detailed presentation. I will open up questions for 5 minutes. Today is one of those beautiful moments where we are able to complete our session slightly earlier. Is there any question?
Yes,
Tomorrow,
I have a
we're, tomorrow we're a little bit detailed on how to actually teach. So it will be a little bit breakdown. Today it is the planning and the programming. All right, please go ahead.
yes. Hi, this is Thomas from Dubai South. Just a question.
Yes,
Given
Director.
the recent events,
Mm-hmm.
basically, I guess at least in our club, I know a lot of our planned events have not happened.
Mm-hmm.
We've had to reschedule and so on. I'm just trying to understand what are other clubs doing, because it's always nice to try to, have the investiture before the end of the year. Um, so what are other clubs doing to sort of make sure that we catch up, or are there any ideas?
All right, we will handle this topic tomorrow, but I can give you just a quick answer, not very detailed, just to say in situation where we are not able to have a face-to-face, we could have an option where we use the tools like what we are doing now. Ideally, we would be having a BSTC on a face-to-face because it becomes more practical, more engaging, even the activities and team building activities are a little bit easier to achieve when we're doing face to face. However, we need to be a little bit flexible in times where there are limitations, and this is where it comes in a way, like what we did during COVID time. So you will take some of the topics that do not need practical work, can be handled as theory online. So we could look into
Mm.
all those things to see, okay, this does it need practical? No. I would be actually just presenting. So this is where you get creative and present theory topics via the tools, whether it's Teams or it's Zoom. But again, we will have a detailed topic on this tomorrow when we go on how to teach. But in a quick answer, this is what you could be considering.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Right. Any other question? Winnie, I see your hand is up. Please go ahead.
Yes, please. Thank you very much. Um, my question is about induction. In cases where we are starting new clubs, I don't know, in the old days, it was like people, if you come in and you've never attended any Pathfinder class, it was okay, you can start from the Pathfinders. But these days, it was like it's according to the age. Even if you did not go for friends or companion and etc., you come in and you're 15, you just go direct to guide. But I didn't get the right why the GC came up with such an organization, and I'm just asking in cases where we are starting a new club in an environment where it wasn't there. Is it okay to put even those, because we'll find people who don't understand a little bit about it? Won't the guide class be too strong for them who never knew anything about it? And is it okay if we can recruit some of those people in maybe companion class so they can come up and then we can maybe handle all classes just like that? I don't know. Just help out.
All right. You are talking about people above 15 years or below 15 years?
I'm talking about people below 15 years, but they've never, and the club is just a new club, and we are just introducing it to the class, to a certain church where it has never existed before. Is it okay
Or
to induct people, even if they are 15, and then you take them to friends, provided they understand what they're going to do, than just taking them to guide because they are 15?
Pastor Matt, this topic again, it falls on tomorrow's agenda on how to teach this, because then it's based on years and curriculum. So if we're to cover today, it will again be one of those quick responses, but the topic will be discussed in detail tomorrow. And as a Pastor Matondo, you'd like to say something maybe, so I don't jump the the broom before
Yeah, Sister
so
G is correct
this
because
is for tomorrow.
that is part of the topic tomorrow. But if I may, some
Recording
kind
stopped.
if I may, some kind of respond to that. I mentioned that earlier because that is typically the challenge, okay, of mismatch age and at the same time class. That's why it's called progressive, okay, progressive, because you will have to progress. So the question is, how are we going to solve that? Remember, I explained to you, during our time, we have the crash course. Okay, we have the crash course. So the crash course also can rectify that, provided that Pathfinder is willing is willing to cooperate and double time, because if he will not be so cooperative, like some kind of lazy, and then well, we cannot solve and solution the problem. It happens many times actually. So it depends on, that's why mentor really is very important, to explain to the parents, to explain to to explain to the concerned pathfinder the situation. uh, anyway, I'm speaking too much, Sister G, back to you. But at least that's part of the discussion tomorrow on how to teach curriculum. All right. Thank you.
Yep. So for this one, we'll tackle it tomorrow in detail so that we don't actually jump into the next topic. So that at least we are online with the resolutions, proposals, and a way forward. All right. The next question that is related to today's topic. Did I miss? All right. Let's see if we've got chat
Yes,
message.
G, the
Oh,
question of brother Jonathan will
mhm.
be addressed tomorrow. What if the age is greater than 15? And if she or he wants to go through all the stages, how are we going to manage just demands?
All
Again,
right.
ends with the cooperation of the concerned individual. That's why we have the crash course. You have to, because it would be very unfair to those who really passed and underwent from friend, etc., etc. Okay, that's why we have the crash course. But be ready also to to what do you call this, to accomplish those requirements. In the
Or,
older curriculum, we even have advanced, Sister G. We
mhm.
even have, for example, friend. Okay,
Yeah, we
we
still
even,
have it.
yeah, friend, and then we have trail friend.
Trail
Okay,
friends. Yeah, we still have.
yes,
Mhm.
because a trail friend stands for an advance. There are additional. Okay, there are additional. Anyway, that's part of the discussion tomorrow. Teaching the Pathfinder curriculum.
Yeah, we will handle this tomorrow. And also bearing in mind that the curriculum is structured in a way that is supposed to cater for people between 10 and 15. There is a risk also if we are trying to backtrack. It's just like a normal high school setup. At school, you've got a normal day school, and they say until 18, you are at school. If you are above that age, you'll not be under a normal setup where you're in the class. Maybe you are like 30 and you're with a child that is 11. There will be a bit of a gap, because when the child is still trying to learn something, you're already way ahead because your understanding is faster, it's more experienced. So again, these are the dynamics that you will face also if you're going to end up sitting in the same class with a child that is 11 and you are 20 something. In a way, you'll start feeling that the teacher is moving very slow, because the teacher will be teaching according to the age of the assigned bracket or that class. So this could be another way of doing that. The idea is that when we grow, we need to outgrow some of the responsibility or some of the task. However, there is a way that you could work backward, where you take an active role as a teacher for that class. So, as a teacher, you get a chance of supporting, for instance, a friend class, and in the process, you yourself are equipped and can be invested, provided you do all the requirements. You are not just visiting. So that is one of the areas or process that are in place that can help people that are above 15 to be able again to take this one. All right. So that would also help you. So you don't just enter as a student, but take an active role as a supporting teacher. You will teach, support, and also achieve in the same process. All right. So we are on 9:26. Our close time is 9:30. Do we have any final pressing question, or we can close? We are on time. Any pressing matter? No, I think then we will meet tomorrow, same time, same link. Uh, did I just miss someone? No. All right. Thank you so
Comments.
much. We meet tomorrow, same time, same link, different topic.